that so I will be covering that. That is Bharat Shah, and then the second section would be, and we'll try to keep this as 1 hour session. And then the second would be conducted by Kaushal into IT governance. So I'll just share my screen as well. Everybody is able to hear me fine and see the screen as well, right?
Yes, we can see the screen. You can do the slideshow.
The voice is slightly echoing. If you can come slightly closer to the mic, or maybe use some headphones.
Okay, is this fine? No.
Yeah, better.
Yes, it is better.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So in the data analytics part, what we would like to cover, as Gautam also mentioned, like right now, data analytics is embedded sort of in every company's, both public limited, private limited. So we would like to just share our experiences and also from a chartered accountant perspective, how we can upgrade ourselves into providing providing services using these tools, which can also make our life efficient. So what we'll try to cover is about the introduction and giving you some perspective how the data flow is there in banks and what tools are used, and then also trying to give a practical sort of demo of Power BI and Python, and then moving into generative AI as well. So this will be sort of foundational aspects, and also we'll try to also share how you can upgrade your knowledge as well. What are the tools available? Like there are a lot of courses available and online tutorials as well. So with this, I'll try to cover on how the data flow is there within a banking firm, right? So, hello? Yeah. Just 1 minute. Okay. Yeah. So primarily in any bank, be Indian bank or foreign bank like JP Morgan or Credit Suisse, there'll be various product systems like JP Morgan is into investment banking and also retail banking as well. Similarly, Kotak or ICISA, they are also in different line of businesses. So they will be having their own core systems, and then there will be customer related systems as well, which will have the front end and the back end as well within each system. And there will be a lot of payment transaction systems as well. So various systems related to your transaction processing will be there. And from a trade level as well, there will be trade systems as well, where there will be trading. Now, from the perspective of analytics, this data has to be merged and integrated, which will be which will help to create a data warehouse, which will help the bankers and also the senior management to understand how they can tap the clients based on the segmentation within a different company for different states. Like in India, if which are the cities where there are like IT companies moving and the income is increasing as well. So all this kind of information is stored in a data warehouse, where all the customer related information and what kind of transactions are they doing. Along with that, also the social network information, what kind of trends are there on Instagram, Facebook, which also many of the banks are feeding into their system, and creating a customer 360 sort of layer, which helps to also predict like what would be the customer preference from the perspective of what kind of expenses they are doing. Now you can see like credit card is prevalent. So based on the analysis done by the banks, then they decide on the products. So this is similar sort of, I mean, architecture which is there for not only for banks but for manufacturing companies as well, where the manufacturing companies will not have so many systems, but then will have different data sources, which will be like SAP or Oracle ERP, where they're based on the different functions like sales and uh, purchase be integrated and sent to your finance function. Again, from an analytics perspective, and understanding of the business, you would need a segmented report of sales. Again, we will need a data warehouse where all and the functions data warehouse and a business intelligence perspective where we can create dashboard. Now for like many companies have huge amount of data. So how the changes have happened in the life cycle primarily is like the evolution of big data as well. You can process large amount of data. Yeah, just one. Just 1 minute. Yeah, just one.
से बचा बने हो गया उनका हो गया हाँ तो कल चले hello can you do the yeah click on that last icon
Yeah, I'm just trying to do that. 1 minute.
you see up on the upper side there is a resume slideshow
Just 1 minute.
go in the slideshow tab and top at the top
Yeah, just 1 minute. I would take it. It was already in slideshow only.
from the beginning or from current slide can click on from the current slide
Yeah, is this visible now?
I think the same issue is there.
Okay, 1 minute.
Can you
just
just close it and once again start?
ये जो इस पे ना आपका डीएससी लगा के जरा कल देखो ना उससे चलती कि
वो अभी उसका कीबोर्ड वगैरह सब बनाना पड़ेगा। वो नेट नहीं कनेक्ट हो रहा है, चार्जिंग नहीं है, चार्जिंग उठा नहीं रहा। हो जाएगा कंप्यूटर से, चलेगा उसमें, ऐसा नहीं है नहीं चल।
I think you can start. I think whatever is there, please.
कल कर रहा आपको मैं दे दूं ऑफिस में आप कुछ लेके आ जाओ दोपहर के बाद
yeah, sorry. So just 1 minute.
Burger and Coke combo starting at just rupees 164.
I'll just share my screen again. I hope this should be
Yeah,
fine.
now it's perfect. Yeah.
So as I was mentioning that for any company to also understand the profitability at a integrated MIS based on your purchase, sales, and different departments, you would need a data warehouse where all the transaction systems are information is integrated, and that is also not enough nowadays. You also need to understand the 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 new generation, the millennials are working as what kind of tweets and trends are happening. So data of the customers is also integrated within the data warehouse for again for any bank or also for the sale manufacturing companies as well, and that's part of the data warehouse from where you can do your analytics using tools like Power BI, where you can do the business intelligence part. And it's also very easy, wherein I will also demo how we can use Power BI in our normal work as well as a CAB individual kind of services which we are providing, or do we can really add value from the perspective of visualizing the data, and also use sort of very preliminary machine learning techniques where I'll just give a quick demo of how we can use Python nowadays. I mean, it is not the days where the developers were only using these tools like C and all that. Right now, in this I would say information era right now, many of the normal users also can use these tools, which can help them automatically do the analysis directly using these tools. So I will also demo that part to you. Okay, so primarily, I mean, any of the right now, if you see any of the companies, they will have this kind of architecture where they will have the transaction systems, then they will have a data warehouse. And this is sort of a medium-sized firms, which I'm talking about, and public limited companies as well. There is a huge opportunity as well for CAs like us, where based on our domain part, right, we can help the mid-sized firms as well to move into using the power of analytics, and Power BI and such tools are also powerful. Like, so similar kind of architecture can be also be there for a mid-sized firm, where they are using, if they are using a simple ERP customized system where they have their purchase data, in fact Excel as well, purchase sales data, that can also be integrated within Power BI, and then they don't need a data warehouse. That they can directly use Power BI itself to visualize their sales and other data. So that demo I'll just give. So just 1 minute. So just if somebody can confirm, you can see the Power BI dashboard. Okay.
No, no.
Not see.
Okay, just 1 minute.
Yes, visible.
Okay. So yeah, so primarily based on the, I'll also show the data as well. I hope you can see the data as well, which is in Excel. Can you see the Excel data?
No, cannot see.
Okay. So primarily, we all would have such data related to sales of a company. Now, obviously, we can do some analytics within Excel as well. But why to use Power BI is primarily like if you want to analyze the data for 10 years or 20 years, or a huge company like Grasim or any other TCS or such companies as well. So the data will be very huge, which you can't load in Excel. So what you can also do is you can merge the data and create a pipeline in Power BI, which can consolidate all your data. And then you can create visual dashboards, which can be utilized for individual partner as well in the CA firm to understand that business better. And also this can be shared with the clients as well, where you can also provide them value add services beyond audit and other traditional services into management reporting, and also providing them advices like how they can do further businesses as well, right? How they can improve their business once they understand the data. So based on this base data, what we can do in Power BI is, I'll just go to the Power BI slide. So again, so this Power BI, if many of you would have Azure as well, or Microsoft 365, so you can also get the licensed version, which is also not very costly, and the returns would be far more than the license. So you can try, getting the license. So it's very easy sort of tool. So most of the analytics are already embedded within Power BI. So, and you can, like, as I mentioned, you can use lot of data. You can input data from different Excel. So I'm just showing you one quick demo, like you can get the Excel file directly. And once you get the, yeah, just 1 minute. Yeah. So once you get the Excel file, your data would be coming here as a base data. And you have to just, yeah, so the data is getting loaded. So once it's load, either if you want to do any transformation on the data, you can do that. Or normally, like, yeah, the cleaning part also you can do with the data. A lot of times we would see that the data is having issues or for format issues and all that. So that also can be taken care within Power BI. And once you have the data loaded, it's very easy to like visualize the data very fast as well. Like I can show you one quick demo as well, how we can just get the sum and the sales at a state level. So it will give you like the understanding of how at a state level, what is your sales breakup. So the main point which I wanted to drive was that it's become very easy nowadays to like get these kind of visualization in like spur of time. Like, and you can see like in 5 minutes, I was able to export the data and then do all these analysis. Like obviously not all the dashboards, but at least one dashboard we were able to create quickly. So this also gives us an ability to present to the client that overall picture of that company, how is their sales segments and what is the different customer base they have, which region they what kind of sales is this. So this gives a good view as well to the to us and also to the clients, like of understanding their businesses as well. And it's very easy, as I showed you, to create these dashboards. So the primary requirement here is to get the data, and if we have something for like 5 to 10 years, then that gives us a very good view from a descriptive analytics. So what we covered as of now is the descriptive analytics part. Now I would like to also go into sort of the another demo, which would be slightly technical. However, I feel like being CA is like we have that kind of understanding, and we should also try understanding slide programming as well. So I'll just also just give you a flavor of how things we can do in Python. Okay, so and it's very easy. You would be able to see by your own self. Like it's not very difficult. So I'm just trying to get just 1 minute. Okay, and what I'm doing in Python also I'll just share with you. So we'll get a view. So this is my so one use case what we just saw was how to integrate the firm's data, like a company's data from a purchase, sales, and other functions into integrated manner and provide dashboards. The another data set which I have is related to a individual bank statement. Like all of us have our most of our transactions through banks only, right? So if we analyze the bank statement of an individual, we'll be able to understand how much he's saving and how much expenses are we doing. So this can be again a app created which can help like everybody to understand like in 5 to 10 years time span, how are they uh, what's their trend of expenses and what is their income part. So this is my base data which is in Excel. I hope everybody can see that. So this is nothing but a common bank statement which everybody would have. Now here, the main challenge is, I mean, to visualize, we would first have to get this labeled. So as of now, I'm taking help for labeling like at an initial level by a Python program, which will help us label the data. And there is a slight manual intervention as well for labeling the data. And also, and that part is called as unsupervised learning from a data analytics perspective. So what we covered earlier from a Power BI perspective was descriptive analytics. Now we are just slightly moving into what can be predictive analytics. And in that, there are like different areas. One is called as classification, that is your supervised learning. And one is unsupervised learning, which is like if you don't have in your data, if you don't have labels, so you can label your data, right? So with this, I'll just go to the Python code. So just 1 minute. So Google. Okay, are you able to see the screen? All right.
Yes.
Just 1 minute. Just okay. So again, so this Python as well, you can, I mean, download easily, and it's also the license version is also available. So that can be part of your enterprise. Like if you have Microsoft 365 as well, then you will have Python also installed. So here, the main benefit is most of the code is available through ChatGPT, Google Bard as well. And if you want to do any analysis, it's very simple. You have to just call the libraries, and you have to just load the Excel file there, and then you can just call the algorithms, which will help you cluster the data. And that clustering algorithms are also already available. Uh, you can easily get the codes as well. And once you complete this part, you can again export this data into Excel and then connect to Power BI. So in Power BI, then you can again get the overall visualization here as well. If you see there, we can do a lot of visualization here as well. So I'll go to Power BI. So once you cluster your data, you get a view of how are your income and expenses. And then you can also try predicting, like if you are having a lot of credit card expenses within your overall expense bucket, then you can try predicting what can be the credit card expenses as well and for the future as well. So this was the second use case, and I mean analytics itself is a pretty huge area, and nowadays we have like generative AI also coming in. So primarily I would say right now there are tools, and for CAs, I think the best tool for a mid-sized firm as well is Power BI, which can like take huge amount of data, and I can call it as data warehouse itself for a mid-sized firm where we have like maybe 10 crore data or 5 crores of line items. So for that, we don't need like Snowflake or any of the data warehouse per se. So with this example, I'll just go back to my slides. Just one minute. Yeah. You are able to see my slides, right? So are the slides visible? Sorry.
No,
Okay,
now it is visible.
thanks. Okay, so I just covered the dashboard part, and also how we can create the descriptive analytics is we can export the data, transform it, and then we can get a lot of good information. And also Power BI has the capability also to generate and predict what kind of like it can summarize the analysis and provide you also commentary on your dashboards as well. And so these are some techniques within analytics which can be used. Primarily is that for the model, when you give the model the data, you have to give the key features. Like in the bank statement, the main part was your debits and credits, and based on that you can also predict. So for fraud analytics as well, you would have to train the model about what kind of frauds have happened in the past. Based on that, it would be able to predict the future frauds as well for you. So that is the technique, which is classification. And again, in Python, there are a lot of models available. In fact, we can also do that in Power BI as well. Then there is also a recommendation engine, which is primarily we have seen in AWS as well, where it's a more of a recommendation engine as well, and Netflix as well. So we can also try to do this kind of analytics as well, where we can recommend anything, or like we can provide recommendation as well to our clients. So in summary, I mean, to what we covered as of now was descriptive analytics, and where we have to do also sort of manual stuff by our end and follow some steps. But now there are also tools available. We can directly, like based on the commands, it can work and provide you information. And there is a lot of research going on, and there is also, I mean, competition around companies like Microsoft, Google, to also publish products in the market, right, which can be utilized. So yesterday only Google Bard had published a Gemini model. Okay, so I will also quickly demo how we can also utilize the power of this. And again, it's the main purpose of this overall session was also to just give you a flavor like what is the possibility. And I would say like the possibility is endless, right? So I'll just quickly show you what is possible in Google Bard. And from my analysis perspective, I would say Google Bard is better than ChatGPT. Why is one is it's free. The ChatGPT 4 version would be better, but from a ChatGPT 3.5 version perspective, the data, it's been trained on like 21st September 2022, right? So it is not trained with the new data, and Google Bard is like being trained with the new data. So in Google Bard, again, you would have Google account. What I have done is I have taken a balance sheet of a company, and primarily I took one of the image of it. And once I give it to Google Bard, it will automatically summarize it. And then it will also export to Excel. So it might take few minutes. Just 1 minute. So you can see that it has also summarized the data in a spur of moment and given the summary. And also this can be exported in Excel as well. So it will also generate an Excel for us. And okay, somehow it's not able to. So again, important part here is how you are interacting with the Bard as well. Then that is called as prompt engineering, which is why very famous as of now, and like the pay packages are also very high. And that's nothing but, see, in the initial case, I had not given him the proper command, the robot or the Bard model. So it didn't give me the right appropriate information. But once I told him to summarize the data in Excel, it was able to do that. And I can just export it into Excel as well. So again, it's a huge area. Generative AI again is a very huge area. And my suggestion would be like everybody should explore from a financial perspective where we can get a lot of efficiencies as well. And from today's perspective, it was just a demo which the initial possibilities which we have just shared with you. So any questions? I'm just trying to get back to the slides as well. But I'm almost done with the presentation. From an analytics perspective, we will move to IT governance as well. But before handing over to Kaushal, I just wanted to check if there are any questions as well.
As of now, there are no questions.
Okay, sure. So I'll hand over to Kaushal. So thanks, everybody. I hope you got the gist of how we can use the tools as well. Primarily, I would say for a medium-sized firm, Power BI can be very useful as a user as well. For our analysis, we should use Power BI. And if we are slightly inclined towards technology, then we can also explore Python. And along with that, primarily the generative AI tools like Google Bard and ChatGPT. I'll just 1 minute. I'll just hand over to Kaushal.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So, thank you everyone for joining today's session. My name is Kaushal Khona. I see a lot of familiar faces across the people who have attended. So it's a privilege to be able to present to this forum, KDOCA Association. It holds a special place in my heart also because my father, Pashwir Khona, also was part of this prestigious institution. And now when Gautam Bhai asked me to make a small presentation to KDOCA Association, it was like I could never say no to this. So thank you for the opportunity. Without wasting much time, I would start with my presentation. I'd like to make it as simple and interactive as possible. And even during the presentation, if anyone has any questions or if you think that something is too technical for you to understand, please feel free to interrupt and let me know. I'll try to explain in a better way as much as possible. With this, I'll start my presentation. Just give me a second. Oh, sound. Yeah. So the topic I'm covering today is IT governance and controls. So in layman terms, what is governance? So I would rate it something similar to what the government of India is doing. What it is doing, it is governing, it's controlling the entire nation. So if you see that in the pre-British era, there were a lot of princely states. They were managing themselves, but the Mughals and other people could attack them and take control over them. Why? Because they didn't have proper governance and proper controls and security within themselves. So that allowed the Mughals and the British to take over. Now, look at the post-independence era. We had a lot of governments, and the latest government, the Modi government, it is so strong and it puts in so much emphasis on the government, on the governance. Like there has not been a single terrorist attack. Now we are a much more safer and a secure place to live in. So same would be an analogy for IT governance and controls, wherein our objective as a small-time practitioner or a medium practitioner, what internal controls and governance we would like to have in our place, and at the same time what we would want to see at our clients places. So this is the broad agenda what I would wish to cover in the presentation. So is the slide visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So what is IT governance? So I explained in layman's terms. So coming to the technical way of conveying the same thing, it's the process of managing and controlling the key IT capability decisions to improve the overall IT management, ensure compliance with various laws and regulations, and increase the value from the IT technology investments, because we put in a lot of money in IT infrastructure, but whether you are getting the optimum utilization of those resources vis-a-vis when you do your audit or other practice work. So that is the IT governance. And why do you need to have the IT governance? To ensure that the IT department aligns with the business goals and objectives. The overall goal of any CA would be to provide the best services and the service in a safest way possible to your clients. So the objective of this is to ensure that your IT entire infrastructure is in alignment with your goals and objectives. At the same time, you need to manage the risks associated with the IT activities, because in today's world, there are plenty of ways where threats and other attacks can happen to your IT infrastructure. So till now, nothing has happened doesn't mean nothing won't happen in future. You need to be dynamic. You need to have lot of controls and constant monitoring over those controls to manage those risks which are associated. And lastly, to optimize the IT investments to maximize the value for the organization. So the key goal for any organization, be it a sole proprietor, practicing CA, or a partnership firm, would be to maximize the value for the organization. So that would be the key goal for the governance perspective. Now, coming to the next slide, why IT governance? So compliance and legal requirements. So there are a lot of laws which govern, like the latest one which has come is the DPDP, wherein the data what you possess is of prime importance, and anyone based on the DPDP is now under process. Slowly, within a few months time frame, it would be a mandatory thing for everyone to follow. So you need to have a proper compliance over the DPDP to protect the data, whatever customer data you have. So for you, the customer data would be the data of your staff, wherein when you go and do the audits from the client perspective, say if it is a NBFC, then NBFCs would be providing loans to a lot of people. So the data which is residing in the client's machines also becomes very critical. So therein the DPDP will be a very key thing. Then your IT governance would help you in enhanced decision making. So what sort of activities you need to do? Like in the previous session, while Bharat explained on the different analytics parts. So with the IT governance, you would be making key decisions that what kind of analytics you need to implement at the firm level or even for clients. Your good IT governance would help you increase the accountability and give more transparency also. At the same time, you can measure your performance on a real-time basis, that whether whatever you are doing as far as your IT infrastructure goes is proper or not. You can have key performance indicators that whether whatever you had decided whether the systems and everything is providing support as per that or not. And at the same time, adaptation to change. So as I mentioned before, IT is a very dynamic thing. There are constant changes. So once you put in a certain infrastructure, doesn't mean that that is the end of it. You constantly need to change, and based on whatever challenges you face, you need to readdress your key goals and make those changes. Yeah. Coming to the next slide, it is the implementation of a framework in any organization. So you can consider your own organization. How would you start? So every organization has some people in the IT department. So the IT management would plan on the assignment based on the priority and timelines. Here, the assignment may be your own internal, like what upgrades or some systems what you would want in-house. At the same time, it can be an assignment for your clients. May it be a IT general control testing, IT application control testing, or any other audit or other work what you need to do. Then the next step would be the identifying the key risk areas which act as a threat to the systems and data. Herein, you need to analyze from a wholesome point of view that from where all different risks can affect your infrastructure. Like, for example, if you are seeing your own organization, then whether do you have a firewall in place, whether all antivirus and different systems are in place, any potential manner wherein outsider can get inside your system should be blocked. So that should be your key risk areas which you need to consider. Now, based on the initial plan, what you did in step 1 and risk you analyzed in the step 2, then you can deploy the necessary amount of resources. Over here, what I would give an example, like if you are planning to set up a new server in-house to manage all your clients' data and store the data into it. So based on step 1 and step 2, you can plan whether you need to have an in-house upgraded server or you need to move on the cloud and what kind of security measures you need to put in place. And then once you have upgraded your system or put in all the resources what you intend to do, the next step would be evaluating the performance and assessing the effectiveness of whatever work you do. So herein, what I mean to say is that, say now your entire setup is up and running, then you need to constantly monitor that. For example, once you put in a firewall, that is not that now it will stop all the attacks and nothing will happen to your systems. You need to extract reports from that firewall. You need to extract reports from your antivirus systems and analyze them and see that what kind of attacks it is blocking and make sure that such kind of attacks are not successful in future. So that is a constant evaluation of the performance and effectiveness. I hope I'm not going too fast and everybody is able to comprehend what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'll like to go for some real life scenarios which would make this more simpler and easy to understand. So coming to the first thing, it is phishing attack. Now phishing attack is a very common attack which on a day-to-day basis, a lot of us do experience. Now, what is a phishing attack? Phishing attack is a technique by which the hacker would try to obtain your username, your password, your personal information, or any other confidential information which is stored in your machine. Once they have your password, phishers use your credentials to send more phishing messages. Like, for example, if your email account is compromised, or say your Facebook account is compromised, or Instagram is compromised, then that hacker would use your credentials to send messages to others who are saved in your contact list. So the others receiving those messages would think that it is coming from you, whereas it is not actually from you. So that can damage your reputation, and also the fraud can just magnify, because now you're not the single person who is affected. There may be many other people who would be affected via when you are affected. Then I'll give some more examples that common phishing scams, wherein they use scare tactics to get you to enter your username and password. For example, they would mention something like this is a required action as a part of your system quota or upgrade. Like it would, you would receive an email which is looking as if it is from Microsoft or Google, which says that your email account data limit is over. Please click on this to upgrade your data limit or something like that. Even they would send a message that click on this link to prevent your email account closure, or even like a fake Dropbox or some kind of data sharing alert you may receive. So many of users would panic at that moment. Oh my God, my account is going to be blocked. What would I do? My entire business would stop. And they would inadvertently click on it and enter their username and password, and poof, gone all your valuable information. So what you need to do is you need to be very vigilant. Even if an email is coming from someone you know, for that matter, say even your seniors or your boss, never click on any link. If you just move your mouse over any of the links at the bottom of your screen, you would always see that what link it is finally going into. So if something has come from, say, for example, Google, and when you go down and observe that where this link is going to take, it would normally take to some other website which is not Google. So that would give you a hint that no, this is not a genuine email. It is some fraudster trying to mimic as if it is coming from Google and would try to steal your data. Another kind of phishing would revolve around banking alerts. Now, these days, everything is done via online banking. You would be using your credit cards online. You would be using your internet banking, Beam app for UPI transactions. So, on a day-to-day basis, you would be receiving plenty of SMSs, emails, and everything. When you are busy with your work, you would not even have time to see and observe whether this is a legitimate message or an alert, or it is some fraudster trying to play a prank to get your data or money or anything. So be very, very vigilant in as far as banking alerts goes, because this is like the most common fraud which is happening these days. Yeah, it's a small funny image. So coming to extension of what my earlier slide said about, the next is a ransomware. What is a ransomware? It's a malware virus that will make your data inaccessible to you. What it will do is it will encrypt your hard disk, and it will prevent you from accessing any of the data unless you pay them the money what they ask for. And if you don't pay the money, they could misuse the data or even delete the data. And by misuse, not even your data, your client data could come at a huge risk, which could be detrimental to you itself. So what this image is trying to tell you is paying 500,000 for a ransomware is a strict no-no, but paying a 50,000 for a penetration testing is yes. So what do I mean by penetration testing is there are experts available, there are specific agencies which do analysis of your system. There is something called a VAPT, wherein the experts come and test your system for any loopholes, and they provide you a detailed report that these all ports are open, these all ways perpetrators can enter your system. So getting a penetration testing done by experts would cost you far less than what if you fall prey to a ransomware and you end up paying as a ransom. So some key points how this ransomware will affect you is normally this ransomware comes in through malicious links, what I explained in detail in the previous slide. Ransomware can cause a lot of damage to you financially and also reputation of your organization. At the same time, the recovery is not guaranteed, because day by day, these hackers are getting smarter and smarter, and the tools they use to encrypt the data is far more advanced. And using standard means within the organization, or even if you give it to a third party, decrypting it may not be possible. And at the end, you may have to pay a large amount of ransom to get your data back. Or if you are lucky and if you had a recent backup, then you may be able to switch to that backup. But there is always a huge question mark that what if the person who has encrypted the data has saved the data at his end? So again, all your key client data or confidential, your own confidential data is exposed to the outside world. I'll give you a small video. It will show you how easy it is to obtain credentials of a person. If the audio is not audible, just let me know.
They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. My husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
At gmail.com.
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry, so there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right, thank you.
क्या गया? So as you saw in this video, it was a hacker convention and it was so easily displayed that it is so easy to gain access to anyone's private information. So now imagine that if you are not vigilant enough, how vulnerable is your data, be it your personal banking data, be it your client data, for that matter, any data. It is very, very easy for smart people to get into. And there are large organizations running all across the world. Their full-time work is only to hack and get into systems. So we should be extremely vigilant and careful to ensure that we do not fall prey to such attacks. Yeah. So coming to the next, now I explained about what kind of risks are there in the outside world, what should be your goals and everything. Now, to attain your goals, to overcome the risks, what base level things you should do. So first and foremost, any organization, be it a sole proprietor CA firm or a partnership firm, should have the IT security policies and procedures in place. Now, these are not the documents just you need to put into record and keep it for documentation purpose. No, that's a strict no. It won't help you at all. What you need to do is you need to list down the best practices, what you need to adopt. You can take help of experts over there to help you draft a proper policy which suits your organization. And then make sure you implement it, revisit the policy, say on a yearly basis or more frequently if you deem fit, and then see the difference. It would make a whole lot of difference. So here what I have put in this slide is a small list of different IT security policies that you need to put in place. One is a change management policy. A change management policy is a simple policy of whatever changes you are doing in your organization, be it a software change, like you are upgrading your tax software or any accounting software, or be a hardware change wherein you are upgrading your infrastructure. So you need to follow a proper change management policy, which will document everything what you do. Like I'll give you a small example what you need to do in a change management. Say when you are upgrading your accounting software, you need to first put in a request to the decision making authority that we need to change this software for so and so reason. Then you need to obtain quotes from the vendors who are going to do that changes for you. Once everything is approved, then you test those changes in a test environment, that whether your actual data is getting reflected the same way what you intend to. And finally, the UAT, your user acceptance test, is successful, then you can do a live production environment for your data. So that is why a change management policy is very critical. For change management policy, you can have your specific forms and things in order, which will help you document those things. The next key policy, what you need to have in place is the incident management policy. This is a very, very important policy because these days, due to different malware and ransomware attacks, different kinds of security incidents are very, very common. So if you think that if, for example, any hacking incident will happen, dekha jayega, we will see that how we would call in some expert and we'll take care of it. No, it shouldn't happen that way. What you need to do is you need to have a documented incident management policy and procedure, that if an incident happen, be it a hacking incident, even there can be a smoke alarm in your office, then what you need to do. So for every kind of incident, you need to envisage that what all actions you have to do, how and what steps you will be following, who would be in charge of doing what step should be clearly documented. So when a specific incident happens, be it a security risk, be it a fire, be it flood, any kind of incident which happens, you have a guide in your hand that what is to be done, who is to perform those steps. It would be far more easier for you to tackle those incidents. Coming to a next key policy, what you need to have in place is the password policy. Password is one of the most important thing. At the same time, it is the most neglected thing by everyone. Whenever we are in a hurry, we just put your own name or your wife's name or your son's name, something like that, which is very, very easy to remember. A lot of people have password as their passwords. So what we try to do is we try to have a very, very simple password, which is easy for us to remember, but it's extremely dangerous in real life. Your password should be very, very difficult for anyone to hack. So hackers use professional softwares to break into passwords. For them, running those softwares and getting very commonly used password is just a fraction of second or probably a few minutes job to get into your systems. But if you have a proper policy set in place, which is standardized across the entire organization, then it will help you prevent your passwords getting affected. Very recently, a very large organization was attacked and a huge amount of data was compromised. That company I cannot name, but that information is in public domain. But how that attack happened was via a password. The hacker used the credentials of that individual to get access into the Active Directory and thereby gain access to the entire information. So your password would be your first line of defense. And to have a strong password, you need to have a proper documented password policy, which you should implement in the organization. Now, coming to the next policy, which is important, is the physical security and environmental policy. So having all those software controls is one thing, but at the same time, your physical security is also a very, very important thing. In many organizations, what we see is that the server is lying in one end of the office, with anyone outsider will have easy access to that server. So you should have a proper documented policy that how the people are going to enter into your office premises, and if possible, have a separate room for your server storage, which should again be access controlled by very specific people who would access that room only on a need basis. Then coming to the next is the BCP DR. What is BCP? Is the Business Continuity Plan, and DR stands for Disaster Recovery. This is a very, very important thing. And since COVID, now it has still become more key, because prior to COVID, work from home and all this kind of scenarios were unheard of in CA offices. We used to sit personally in our offices or at client places. But once COVID came in, everyone had to switch over to work from home, and the entire business of a lot of people got disrupted. So if you have a strong business continuity policy and a disaster recovery policy, it would help you survive in these times, that if anything untoward happens, then what would be the steps you would follow to ensure that your own practice is continued without any issues seamlessly. And at the same time, if a disaster occur, it can be any kind of disaster like a pandemic which occurred, or even there can be flood, fire, or riots. For any reason, you may not be physically able to access your office or your data center. Then how would you resume your operations in the most efficient manner and in a timely manner? So that would be covered in your BCP and a DR policy. Now, next is the data retention and archival policy. This is also very key, because in older times, you were having physical papers of clients, a lot of huge piles of files were lying around in CA offices, and now everything is digital. So how you retain the data, who is going to have access to that data, and everything should be documented, and it should be ensured that all the data is there on need to know basis, because clients these days are becoming more and more concerned about where that data is saved, how that data is saved, and how long will that data be saved. So they go to the lens to do audits of us before we start their audits. So that's where your data retention and archival policy will help you put in confidence to your clients that their data is safe with you. Now, coming to the next policy is the encryption policy. By encryption policy, what I told is that from the hacker point of view, that how they would encrypt your data and make it inaccessible. How they would make your data inaccessible to you. Same way, you can have your own encryption policy, wherein you can have encryption softwares put into your offices that would help you prevent any outsider from decrypting your hard disk and getting data out of it. So that would also act as a line of defense to you to prevent your data from going outside. And it is very, very difficult to decrypt. So there is a Microsoft encryption available, which is free of cost along with Windows. So it's called BitLocker. If you implement that, and if you yourself forget your password, it is next to impossible even by experts to decrypt it, give you your data back. And even if they're able to do, it will cost you a bomb. It is so expensive getting the data decrypted. So encryption policy would help you a great deal. And coming to the last is the physical access. So I touched upon the physical access in the physical security. So it is physical access is extension of the physical security policy, what you would be having in place. So these are just the few IT security policies. There are plenty more, but these are at least the basic policies and procedures which you need to have in place to ensure a smooth running of your organization. Now, I touched upon the antivirus aspect when I was covering the previous slides. Now, antivirus is one of the most important thing what you should have, and it should be the first thing you should put in your machine when you get a new machine. But it is sometimes the most neglected thing what people do. That हमें तो virus attack कभी होने ही नहीं वाला. If a virus attack happens, we will handle it. No. So antivirus should be your first investment. Whatever sum of money you need to invest in a good antivirus software. There are a lot of reputable antivirus softwares available in market, be it Symantec, McAfee, even Microsoft has its own antivirus and firewall software, which is available with Windows. But if you club the Microsoft antivirus along with a good third-party antivirus, it will help you a great deal because a lot of viruses can come to your machine via email attachments, via files downloaded from the internet. You never know. Even if your colleague passes on a file to you via Microsoft Teams, there is a very big risk of virus. So having a antivirus and a good antivirus with real-time regular updates would help you protect your systems and your server as well. Now coming to the passwords. For having a strong password, some of the points I have laid down. So what is a password? In a pure technical way, if you say a password is a combination of letters, numbers, and special characters, which you need to have to access any system. This is the method to secure an application or any system for any unauthorized access. Now, as a thumb rule, your password should be at least 8 characters long, and it should include a number and a special character. I just put in a couple of examples. Now, these may be difficult to remember or type in, but it would help you a great deal to protect your systems. Now, many of you might have a question in your mind that we are having so many different systems. Your computer may have a different password. You may be having different accounting softwares or tax softwares for that matter, any other softwares which you need to have to provide services to your client. So how it is possible to remember so many passwords? And to make matters worse, you would be having internet banking and credit cards. So on an average, a single person may be having to deal with 20 to 30 passwords on a regular basis. And all different organizations have different password policy. So you'll have to change the passwords. The older passwords cannot be used. And so it becomes a very, very difficult task for an individual to manage the passwords. So what a lot of people do is they write on a piece of paper the different passwords to remember. That's a good practice, but at the same time, it's a risky practice. What if that paper gets misplaced? So then getting that piece of paper would have all the passwords in their hands. So an effective way to remember the strong passwords would be to have a password manager software installed. There are very good password manager software available in open market. Some of them are freewares, some of them are paid. But I would highly recommend to have a paid version, even though it would cost a small amount of money in the initial part, but it will help you protect your data. And this password manager apps are 256-bit encrypted, very, very difficult for someone to gain access to, even if someone gets access to your mobile phone. So some of the popular are LastPass or 1Password. They are very common. You can just Google about them and get to know more about them, that which one would suit you more. But I would highly recommend to having a password manager app to remember the passwords and ensure that complex passwords are used in different systems. So I made a funny image regarding password. So herein a person is asking a password to a security admin that what's your password, and he replies password. And finally, it turns out that his password is password, the head of security. And this is not just a joke. It happens at a lot of organizations. A lot of people have such simple and easy to remember passwords. So it should be a strict no-no as far as you are concerned. Coming to encryption. So I touched upon encryption, having encryption in your machine. So if you use the Microsoft BitLocker, which is a part of Windows 10 and 11, so you can very easily just open your My Computer or Windows Explorer, just do a right click and enable BitLocker. It would take a couple of hours depending on the size of your hard disk, the type of your hard disk, and amount of data you have in. Just a one-time activity, which even you can do at night time and your machine will be ready by the next day morning. But it will help you a great deal to protect your data. Coming to the next slide, it's about firewall. So there are two types of firewall. One is a software-based firewall and one is a hardware firewall. A software-based firewall gives some basic protection to you against common attacks. So generally, they are a part of your antivirus packages. And whereas a hardware firewall is a physical device which you need to purchase and keep it alongside your server. So what this hardware firewall will do is it will act as a intrusion detection as well as intrusion prevention mechanism for you, wherein any kind of attack, be it a denial of service attack, like denial of service attack is a hacker bombards your machine with hundreds or thousands of requests, which will effectively slow down your system and make your system completely inaccessible. So these kind of attacks are very easily prevented by a physical firewall. You can have safe lists set up in your firewall, wherein in your office environment, if you don't want your data to be leaked out, only specific sites should be open, like your income tax portal, or only say if you're on Microsoft platform, then Google services or personal email accounts like Yahoo or Rediff Mail, nothing should be accessible. Only your office email should be accessible, whereby you can protect your client data and you can always ensure that whatever emails or data exchange is happening only within the confined rules, and no other way the data can be leaked out. Time wasters like Facebook, Instagram, and these kind of things can be very easily blocked. So what you need to have is a policy of deny all and only give access to specific things. So it would be a very easy task for you to identify what all websites you need to access for your own business use. And you can at any given point of time, within a fraction of a few minutes, add in or edit any website which you think it may be useful. And you can have different level of accesses for different people. Like say a partner can have a much higher level of access compared to a junior most trainee. So, but having a configured firewall would help you monitor and control your entire organization very effectively. You can generate reports from the firewall, which will help you know that what kinds of attacks are happening to your system by outsiders, because now everything is connected. Even if you are not giving a VPN access to your staff or employees remotely to your server, which is in-house, still because your server is connected to internet, everything is exposed. So your firewall would act like a soldier who is standing on the front, protecting you from all attackers. So having a good firewall is a very, very good investment. I would highly recommend that. Coming to the next is backup. Now, backup is one of the very important thing, and many a times it is one of the most neglected things what people have. A lot of people believe that nothing will happen to that your data. Now, that is a very big myth. Anything can happen to your data. Your hard disk can get corrupted. There can be accidental deletions. There can be some disgruntled staff who is going to leave, but before leaving would want to cause some damage and delete some data. So there are n number of ways wherein your data which is saved in your server or your machines, that can go away. Now, having a good backup software with schedulers is very, very important. It can start with backup schedulers which are free in your Microsoft Windows, and you can go in for third-party backup softwares, which will help you have a systematic and a very proper, well-defined policy of backup, which will automatically take the backups from your server to an external source, say be it an external hard disk or a cloud, any medium which you want to have it for your backup. And regular incremental backups can be done. A full backup can also be scheduled. So if you see at the bottom left of the slide, what is there? There is a calendar given. So it is so easy for you to go back in time and get access to any data which you are not able to find currently. And depending on the size of your external media and device, what you have, and the quantum of your data, you can have up to say 15 days to probably on 3 to 6 months of historical data available with you. So you can travel back in time and get any file you want, and it will be a life saving if in crunch time. So having a good backup solution is also very, very important. Now, what I covered till now was predominantly from a CA or a practicing firm point of view. What internally you need to do to protect your data and have the utmost level of security. Now, same thing can be used, the same knowledge can be used if you are doing any audits or assignments for your clients. I'll take an example of ITGC testing, which is mandatory when you do a lot of different kinds of assignment. So what is ITGC? ITGC is IT General Controls Testing, which covers different domains like physical access, logical access, backup and recovery, change management, incident management, cyber security, software development lifecycle. So these are the key areas what are covered in IT general control testing. And throughout all the slides which I covered till now, touched upon various aspects of these domains which are there in IT general controls. So if you have a good general controls practice inbuilt in your own organization, you can use those knowledge to do the testing when you go out to your clients. So I'll give you a small example. If you go to a client to do a ITGC, you can check their policies and procedure documents and see if they are up to date. They are adhering to those policies in the real life practice or not. That can be compared by you. Then coming to user access testing, because all the data at your client's end these days are processed via computers. So you have to rely on whatever data is there in their systems. So testing logical access will also help you a great deal, that whether all the employees, so basically all the data is based on maker checker, wherein you extract any of the reports from your clients. First thing you see is whether there is a proper maker and a checker. So a 4I principle wherein two people are proper seeing that or not. So if you take a list of users from your organization and you see that whether their joining date and the date of them getting access to different systems is in alignment
हेलो ये क्या हुआ डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया हेलो कौशल भाई कनेक्ट करो मेरा फ्यूचर्स टर्न
He got
ऑफ
disconnected.
That's what.
अच्छा
अच्छा वाईफाई टर्न ऑफ करूँ या एक बार बोलूँ कि
नहीं आप बोल भी तो दे रहे हो
मेरा वॉल्यूम कम क्या
तो we'll be
Yeah, hi.
there's
We're
a
just connecting back. Just 1 minute. Yeah, we'll be back.
okay
Divya, can you add Kaushal? He's trying to again join. Divya Charvik.
Recording in progress. We have done that.
Yeah, sorry for the small technical glitch. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. All right. So what I was saying that at the same time, you can take the exit list of the employees, wherein you can ascertain that whether all the employees who have left the organization, they do not have access beyond their last working day, because key company confidential information can be very easily leaked out. So that tests you can run at your client places. Then you can check whether the backup and recovery controls are in place at your client place. Like having backup is just one part of it, but whether proper restoration exercises are covered to ensure that whatever backup is done is accessible when need arises. So systematic restoration drills are done at the client places or not. Then you can obtain a list of change management of what all changes are done. So like for example, you are doing an audit of a client and wherein all the data is residing in the system. So any change which happens to the system, be it big or small, is very critical for you as an auditor. So if you go through the list of all the changes what are done and pick on a sample basis some changes and see the documentation in detail, like what I explained in the previous slide is how do you have your own change management system in place. So all organizations have somewhat similar change management practices in place. So you can very easily come to know that whether the changes what are done in the systems are properly put in place with proper due testing, because at the end of the day that would be impacting the numbers, and numbers are what you are certifying as a chartered accountant. So checking the change management becomes very critical as far as when you do your IT general control testing. Then at the same time, you can also do a testing of how their cyber security and normal security controls are in place. So the similar controls what you had in your own organizations, like proper password policies, a firewall in place, antivirus in place. So these all information can be obtained from your client at the server level, and you can pick a few random machines that whether even those similar antivirus settings are there in place at the machine level also. So that tests you can obtain screenshots for the same. Then again, you can obtain a list of incidents from the client. You can get to know from that whether any big incident for malware or sabotage has happened in the audit period. If it has happened and the client has not passed on that information to you, you can very easily come to know from the firewall reports. So that will help you inquire further and understand that what kind of data is impacted and how you as an auditor would have to report this, because your sign after all is going into the audit reports. And as Honorable Prime Minister told, that a chartered accountant's signature is more powerful than even a Prime Minister or President's signature. So you need to preserve your signature. For that, you need certain kind of assurances. So only the assurances you take from the different accounting standards while in doing the audit won't be sufficient in today's time. You need other assurances from the IT controls to give in a better opinion, to have better control over your numbers. So with this, I end my presentation. I hope it was not too technical and it was informative. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Kaushal bhai, there is one question in the chat box.
Yeah.
Regarding one of the participants asked, one of my client got a phone call and amount was deducted from his bank account. No OTP request and no one opt on call. How to safeguard from this?
Okay, so now how this can happen is no OTP request is next to impossible. Almost all banks have a OTP mechanism in place. So what I believe might have happened is a case of a SIM cloning, most probably a case of SIM cloning, wherein a duplicate SIM card might have been obtained of that person, and the hacker would have got OTP on that new SIM card. That would have been the most likely scenario. So when you are having your cell phone, and if you notice this kind of thing, that you are suddenly out of coverage for a very long time, and wherein people around you are having coverage, that can be one of the things to observe, that something is going wrong with your systems. At the same time, hacking, I gave a few best practices, like have a complex password, regularly change the passwords, never enter your password in presence of anyone, being even your close relatives, because they by mistake also, not knowingly, can pass on the passwords. So if these kind of basic security practices you can have, then these kind of attacks are very difficult. Now if this kind of attack and fraud has happened, there are ways and mechanisms in place, kept by the government to take action upon them. So you can always write to the bank, send emails, and question into that because you have not received a OTP and a sum has been deducted, so how that can be reversed. You can, if the bank doesn't cooperate, you can go to the banking ombudsman for relief. That would also help you. So I'll give you my own example. So I had a credit card many years back, nearly 10 years back. There were few fraudulent transactions which happened on my credit card. At that point of time, OTPs and everything were not that common. Those systems were coming into place. But I had a habit of very regularly monitoring my online banking. And I happened to see those transactions against my credit card. I immediately called my bank, blocked my credit card. That was the first action I did. Second action was I sent in a written complaint that so and so thing has happened, and I have not done this transaction. They have been performed without my action or authorization. And then bank followed a procedure wherein I had to fill in certain forms, and they reversed those transactions, and I was not charged for it. So if you follow these steps, yes, there are remedial measures available for these kind of attacks. Any other question?
Thank you. Participants who want to ask the question can raise their hand. We will unmute them. They can ask the question or they can put it in the chat box. We can ask the speakers, the faculties to answer those questions. There is one question from Ajay Shah.
Yes.
Can a phone be hacked with a phone call or without any link being clicked or no app downloaded?
So this is very difficult to happen. Yes, it can happen. As I told, that SIM cloning is one of the way wherein your phone can be hacked. But without a phone call or without a link or no app downloaded, it is very, very unlikely that your phone will be hacked. But again, if you are accessing public Wi-Fi networks, or like yeah, one more thing which I didn't cover in my slide, but based on this question I can briefly touch upon, is juice jacking. What is juice jacking? Like, you very commonly travel and you happen to visit airports or railway stations wherein there are devices installed which help you charge your mobile phones. Now if there is a 3-pin plug or a 2-pin plug which you can use to use your own charger to charge your phone, you are relatively safe. But if there are ready to use cables which are there in those boxes available, and you put in your phone, very easily your phone will go into a data access mode. And when you are in public Wi-Fi networks, again, your phone is at risk. So in those scenarios, yes, a phone can be hacked without a phone call or without any link or any app being downloaded. So these are the scenarios what I see. Any other question?
Any other participant wants to ask any question, they can raise their hands or put it in the chat box. If there are no further questions, then So I think we don't have any further questions. On behalf of the association, I would like to thank both the speakers, CA Bharat Shah and Kaushal Khona, for sparing their valuable time and giving insights on the very important topic of IT controls data governance. This was a very good topic, and both of the faculties have done an excellent job in covering the practical aspects of the topic. I think the presentation covered a lot of practical case studies which we are facing in our day-to-day life. And my special thanks to both of them on behalf of the association for agreeing to be a speaker for this topic and sharing their valuable insights with the participants. Thank you so much, both of you. And we look forward to further sessions on IT-related topics from both of you in the future. I also thank the participants for joining the session, and thank you for your sparing the valuable time. We have the next session in the month of January on trust-related topics. So we'll be sharing the announcement soon and the date for the session and the timings. So we request all the participants to join the session in January on the charitable trust related topic. Till that, thank you so much for joining and stay connected. Thank you. Thank you, Kaushal bhai.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Bharat bhai. Thank you.
Thanks.